All right, Zay, we are in. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. It's been a while to get you here, but we finally made it happen.
I know.
I know, but I see you all the time, so it's not that big a deal.
No, just another day.
So look, I mean, like, how's your summer been? Like, it's now starting to get a little chilly out. The weather is changing finally. It's nice and chill. But how was your summer?
My summer was good, but first and foremost, I just want to say thank you for just being you. Being just a good human, being a good person, and I'm excited to be here. So thanks for having me. We say number 99.
Number 99, yeah. Podcasts are rolling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're the best.
yeah.
Let's get back to it.
Let's get back to it. Okay, so I want to learn everything about you because we spend a lot of time together. We work out a lot together, but we don't really like talk. So I thought today would be a good day to get to know you. So where in the world are you from?
Oh, let's get into it. So, I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Mhm.
Born and raised downtown Brooklyn, Red Hook area.
Mhm.
So that's where it all started. From an early age, life got after us early. I lost my dad when I was 1.
One. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Yeah. How did he?
Violence, gun violence.
Oh
New
Jesus.
York.
Was it that bad in Brooklyn?
Yeah, early 90s
Mhm.
was tough.
Because now it's all like gentrified, isn't it? Like Brooklyn is like the cool place to be now, and they got rid of all the crime.
They definitely have cleaned it up a lot. For the good and for the bad.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been good though down there in Brooklyn. Things have definitely changed, for the better.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
But you lost your dad at 1. That's horrible.
horrible,
Yeah.
crazy, right? Just starting off life so young, just adversity right away.
Mhm.
That's what shapes me today is being able to withstand the adversity. My mom raising a son by herself, that was tough, but she's a strong woman and she knew what was best for me, and she had great support from my grandparents, my aunt and uncles.
Mhm.
Everyone stepped up and took great care of me. So shout out to them.
Do you have any siblings? Yeah. Wow. So I mean, like losing your father at a young age, that would have put a lot of responsibility on you, probably.
Well, so it just started off with just me. I was my mom's first child.
Mm.
It was just me and her
Oh wow.
at first. So I was the young.
I mean, what was it like growing up in Brooklyn? I mean, like, was it really like that dangerous in the early 90s? Because like we've all seen on TV like crime in New York, but I don't know. I guess like you have to like really live there to know where to go and where not to go.
Yeah, Brooklyn was very dangerous. Like New York in general is New York City in general is very dangerous. You just had to be smart, be mindful where you were. But a lot of things were going on.
Mm-hmm.
But lucky for me, I had great support around me, so they always directed me.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Sounds like you had like a lot of extra family around, like you said, the grandparents and aunts and uncles. Like it takes like a whole village to like raise children, doesn't it?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
it does take a village. I'm a key believer in that, and I'm a witness to that. So definitely, it does take a village to take all.
My brother lived in London for a few years, and he had his child in London, and he had such a difficult time because they had no family support, like him and his wife, because they were just there, and then all of our family was still in Canada, and then I was fucking all over the place, so I wasn't very helpful either. But like no one to babysit, no one to help out after school, no one to do all these like things that you need to keep a child busy and keep them doing positive extracurricular activities instead of like negative extracurricular activities, and we all know what those are. So it's like it really is hard and takes up a lot of time, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and that's one of the things. In these inner cities, there's a lot of more situations like this where people are in the same situation, but they don't have that support and the resources,
Mm-hmm.
to have their child be doing the right thing when no one's looking, because that's when it all.
It does, right? Yeah. No, that's tough. So you're growing up in Brooklyn. Your mother's a single mother taking care of you. That must have been incredibly stressful. I mean, when did you start, thinking about getting into sports? Because I know you had a football career, American football career. I'd love to kind of talk to you about like how that kind of came to be.
Yeah, so just grew up again with my uncles, just watching Sunday football, and I always thought it was cool. I'm like, man, they're out there hitting each other, they're scoring touchdowns. It just looks exciting.
Right.
And one day, I believe maybe going back maybe 2001, me and my uncle, we were on the bus, we were going somewhere, and a gentleman approached us on the bus and was like, hey, would you want to sign him up for football? I'm looking at my uncle. My uncle was like, football? He's like, don't you want to play? And I was like, absolutely. And it was a new team that I came to my neighborhood where I was originally from in Red Hook, and the Brooklyn Titans, they were called. Shout out to Coach Bill. Yeah, so that's where it all started. That one day on the bus, we met Coach Bill, and he was like, hey, I'm starting a youth football team. Would you guys be interested?
So is that youth football team, is that connected to education, or is that like a rep team, like separate from your like high school team or whatever?
Yeah, definitely separate. You know, that was just him starting his own organization at the time. And he played football himself, so he wanted to give back and do something good for the community.
That's amazing. And how old were you when you got like recognized on the bus as maybe a potential athlete?
I mean, crazy. I think I might have been maybe 7 years.
That's not bad though, because I started playing basketball when I think I was like 6 or 7. I didn't get recruited off a bus or anything like that, as a white guy that can't jump. But no, I remember like I was slowly getting into it at that age too. That's when it all starts to happen, right?
That's when it all starts to happen. I think that's a great time for a child to start develop those habits, you know, being a part of a team and, you know, pushing themselves.
So I've seen videos on YouTube and stuff like that of all these like kids playing American football, right? Like with the big shoulder pads and the helmets, and they're wobbling around and smacking into each other. Like it's pretty messy, you know, in the 8 to 10-year-old range, like of football. But what was it like kind of playing at that young age? Like, you know, did you have any interest in any other sports? Were you like playing basketball as well, or was it just like, oh my God, I love football?
Well, it's interesting because, you know, growing up, New York City is a huge basketball town. Everyone plays basketball. They're like courts on every corner. So, of course, basketball was one of those sports that I tried to play, you know, but everyone would be like, oh, you're so aggressive, like you're a hack.
That's not fair.
So I was like, but I was just always athletic, so enough to still hang around. But yeah, I tried basketball. Baseball too, but football was the one that stuck out to me.
Yeah. How old were you when you played baseball?
Around the same time, 7, 8 years old, because on the Titans, we had a baseball division.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. And Coach Bill was doing the baseball and the football?
Coach Bill was doing everything.
Oh, man, he's a legend. We need to get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I tried playing baseball at one stage. Like, I think I was like 8 or 9, and I ended up being like afraid of the ball. Like, I don't know how old I was, but someone hit me. Like, I was batting and someone hit me. And then from then on, I was just terrified of the ball. And you can't hit shit if you close your eyes, right? You're just like,
swing.
Yeah. Gone.
I think I might have been the same way, honestly.
Yeah.
This is just not for me. I was like, no.
So Coach Bill has you on the gridiron. You're playing football. Like, what were your early positions? Like, what did you start to kind of gravitate towards?
I mean, I was a strong kid just right away, so they put me on a line.
Oh, really?
That wasn't big. I don't know, and youth football is just like, it's crazy like that. They'll take a kid, athletic kid, and put them on the line sometimes. You know, we didn't have that many players, so I was one of those kids. I started off as a guard, and on defense, I played defensive end.
Is it common for like young players to play both ways?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. That's wild. So you were an offensive lineman? In the early days? I'd love to see those photos.
33. That was my first number.
Okay.
Or at 7, started with the Titans at 33. That was the first
one. And so, okay, so you're 7 years old. So this is like before you're even in high school, right? Because I would have been probably 5 or 6 years away. So how did playing in that youth league kind of change your life?
It changed my life dramatically. You know, I was able to do the right thing, you know, go in the right direction. You know, at that age, 7, anywhere from like 7 to 14, I would say, kids in New York could be doing anything after school, case may be. But no, I knew I had practice. I knew I had other commitments. I knew I had something to look forward to and something to do. It's something that I was working towards. So growing up, that was definitely a huge way for me just to stay locked in.
Yeah, I remember like when I was maybe just a little bit older than that, like 12, 13, 14, like my early days of high school, I just remember like anyone that wasn't playing sports was like either doing drugs or selling drugs. And this is in Toronto. Like this is not like the big city of New York, right? This is just, like small little Toronto in Canada. But I remember that.
Same in New York. Yeah, kids are doing all kind of things. When they're on a train, it's just so much to do. It's such a big city.
Yeah.
It's easy to get in trouble.
Yeah. So sports really kept you on the straight and narrow path.
Dedicated.
So you're playing in this youth league. Now, does the youth league like set you up to go and play for like a prestigious high school, and then, is that so I'm just trying to figure out like the path. So if you're like 8 or 10 years old and you're playing on a youth league like the Titans, does that help you get into like a good high school, which will help you get like a scholarship? Like, how does the system work?
Well, so since this team was brand new, we did develop relationships with other prestigious high schools around the city. So some kids on my teams growing up did go to certain prestigious high schools around the city. So yes, it did pave a way for you to go to a prestigious high school if you wanted to. But for me, I chose a different route. I didn't, even though I did go to a powerhouse high school, it wasn't exactly connected through my youth football.
Mm-hmm. And then when you went to high school, did you keep playing football for the Titans, or did you play for your high school team?
Oh no, once I got to 9th grade, I stopped playing for the Titans around 8th grade, middle school. Once I knew I was going to high school, I strictly just went high school.
What was that like?
Oh, JV 9th grade, that's when I realized, that's when I was like, wow, these guys are massive. I have to get strong. I have to get big. Because the seniors, when I was a freshman, I saw the seniors, they were all, these dudes are massive, going to big time schools. And I was like, wow, I want to get like that.
So what was the high school? What was it named?
High school. Okay, Fort Hamilton.
Okay.
Brooklyn.
Nice.
High school.
Nice. Okay, so JV is junior varsity. So the high school had 2 teams. And so you start on unless you're like an absolute fucking superstar, you start on the junior varsity team and then you work your way up to the, okay.
Usually sophomore year, you'll move up to varsity, but sometimes we would have those freshman studs that would move up early.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily for me, I did pretty well in JV, so I did move up during the playoffs.
Okay.
And I got some reps on special teams.
That's awesome. Like as a grade 9er.
I was like, wow.
Playing with guys that are like 250 pounds that are like 5-6 years older than you.
Crazy. But it was a great experience.
Mm-hmm.
Happy to get the opportunity. It's hard work.
Yeah. That's wild. I mean, like, what was it like living in New York City, going to high school, playing for this powerhouse football club? Like, you guys must have just felt like you were like on top of the world.
It was honestly interesting because we would have, for me, my commute to high school and was at least hour plus. Mm-hmm. So I was taking the train, 2 trains to get there. But it was so fun because on the way to school, I knew I would meet up with my teammates along the way to school. So those train rides to school was just epic. Like, those are some of the best memories of my life.
Yeah.
It's small things like that during those early times.
Whereas in LA, everyone has to carpool and drive.
LA is the driving city.
It's terrible, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so and what was it like? Was your mom able to come to watch you play? Like, how involved was your mom at that stage?
Okay, so my mom I don't know really if my mom really liked football. Honestly, I don't know if she really wanted me to play football because she was very protective of me. So she's like, "You guys are crazy. Like, you guys are running into each other."
Yeah, this is exactly what I want to hear. Yeah, keep bringing it.
I don't really like this, so she would come to my games, but she would be like closing her eyes. Like, oh my God, my son's gonna kill himself.
Yeah.
Very supportive of me.
Okay. That's epic. So and what did you study in school, or did it even matter? Were you just like football?
No, absolutely. So when I first, now that we're going to college?
No, it's still in high school. Like what kind of stuff did you like doing in high school? Like did you like the chemistry and the biology and the sciences, or were you a math guy, or were you like the social sciences, like histories and geographies?
When it came to high school, I wanted to think, like, I was just very, just broad, just all together, just well-rounded, just knew a little bit about everything. And but I did love football though. That was the high.
Did the team have like a grade minimum that you had to make in order to play? Like, if your grades fell below a certain level, like you weren't allowed to play football?
You think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like they took his school very seriously at Fort Hamilton.
Yeah.
We didn't play around.
That's good. I remember like they threatened some of my teammates at one stage because they were failing some classes, but they never took them off the team.
It's funny. So at Fort Hamilton, we would have conduct sheets where you would have to have every period, your teacher would have to sign off on it.
Oh, to make sure you were attending each class.
Just did not play around. They made us fill out bring those conduct sheets. We had to hand them in before we go to practice. That was your ticket to get into practice.
Oh, really? That's amazing. That's smart.
Yeah. It was smart. It was crazy.
Yeah. How long did it take you before you figured out how to like forge everyone's signatures?
Man, we're never going to get into that.
Now I'm sure it'd be like QR codes, right? It's all digital. Oh man, that's epic. Okay, so you're playing. So at what stage in your high school career were you like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna play university football?
Good question. I would say junior year, going into junior year, I was able to get some good reps on varsity as a sophomore. So that just ignited the fire for me to just really push that thing hard and really take it to the next level. So after the sophomore year, like I was getting some good reps as a sophomore playing linebacker. I was like, okay.
They were still playing you at linebacker?
Oh, yeah. At this point, I've been in the gym now for a full year because I'm a sophomore. And the weight program at Fort Hamilton was serious. That literally was the foundation to who I am today. Those workouts that I did in 9th grade, maybe harder.
Really? And in grade 9? Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I was squatting 315 like nothing in 9th grade. I'm like, fresh.
That's epic. I remember like my sports athletic program at school, like I went to a school called Lawrence Park Collegiate, and I think the football team actually had a weightlifting program, but our basketball team was like a little bit disorganized. We didn't have anything like that. I mean, I was on a bit of a program, but I could have done with a lot more.
Oh, it was mandatory.
Yeah.
The seniors that we had, they were on top of the underclassmen. They were like, yo, guys, this is what we do here. We work out and train. We practice. We prepare. And it was ran, my high school was ran.
Oh, that's amazing.
As we look back, we're like, wow, that was a real pro.
That's incredible. Yeah. So how many guys are on like a high school football team, like the varsity team?
From 50 to 60. Then there was some.
Wow. And is everyone playing both ways, like offense and defense, or is everyone like starting at this stage to be like in more specialized positions?
Depending on who you were, still were playing both ways, but there were some standout.
Okay. That's cool because like I never played football. Like I just don't have any idea like how it works. So it's nice to get a bit of an inside scoop.
If someone's really good, they'll probably play wide receiver and cornerback. Those just positions align. They have some of the same qualities.
Deion Sanders style. That guy was the fucking GOAT, wasn't he?
Excuse me. Yes.
Did you see his ESPN 30 on 30 or whatever?
Legend, absolute legend. He's doing really good.
He is.
Happy with you.
Did you? I love the whole controversy he started by like trying to play with the Atlanta Falcons and then trying to play with the Atlanta Braves on like the same day, and he had to like fly with a private jet to get up to like Boston for a playoff game, and he pissed everyone off.
That's prom.
All he did was want to play though. Like I don't know how you can shit on someone with that much enthusiasm.
Right. That's very rare, right? So people should be encouraging that.
And I really love one of the things, not to take away from your story, but one of the things Deion Sanders said, which I loved. He's like, I play for the Atlanta Braves. I play for the Atlanta Falcons. I want Atlanta to be the best city in the world. Like I'm here to do that. Like he at some stage he recognized like the Atlanta community supported that, but the baseball people and the football people, got their lines crossed at some stage, and he was just pissing people off on both sides.
He was just trying to honestly be a man for the people, right?
Yeah.
Right? That's all he was trying to do.
Yeah. And make some incredible plays. And now he's coaching.
Yeah. It's a different game. But he's giving back to the game, which is nice.
So when you're like a senior playing high school football, like how early into your your season, are you aware that you're going to go to college, and which college are you going to go to?
You know, it came so fast, honestly. Like the 4 years, I feel like really flew by. And me being the first generational child to go to college, I feel we weren't prepared fully for it. Like we're like, oh, you go to college? Okay, great. But I knew that's what I wanted. My mom, she supported that. She was like, yes, I would like for you to do that. But I think when it came to that, we could have done things a little better, especially as far as recruiting. During that time, recruiting was an upcoming new thing, right? There's so many steps that goes into recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I would have just done things differently as far as recruiting, going to different more camps, just getting more exposure.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, this thing comes down to exposure and then connections and networking.
What do you mean by camps? Like, do some of the colleges put on like training camps, and then they go and watch all the kids play?
Yes, they have recruiting camps where you would go and do drills and just be seen,
Mm-hmm.
How you move and get exposure and get in front of the people.
And all the coaches would come and watch?
Yes.
Oh, that's wild.
They're big time schools too.
Yeah. So I grew up in Canada, right? So no one gives a fuck about Canada. Like if you're oh, they play hockey up there, it's fine, right? But no one came up there to like recruit basketball players. So when I was a junior and a senior, I would go down to Cleveland, Ohio, and they had this kind of like recruitment camp there in Cleveland. It was called 5 Star, and it was probably one of the better programs in the United States, but it was such a level up. Like it was so wild coming from Toronto down to Cleveland to play with all the American players, because the American players just brought such a higher level of intensity to their playing. I mean, this is like back in the 90s, right? When I was in high school and moving on to university, and it was but it was such an eye-opening experience, and to see all those coaches like sitting on the bench watching us scrimmage with notepads, and taking down our numbers and everything like that, it was fucking intense.
And those are shout outs to you for going and attending that, and grading your chances of getting to that next level. And those are the things that I'm mentioning that are game changing.
Mm-hmm.
But shout out to you for, again, doing that. That elevated your game. That made you better.
Yeah.
Right? Playing against that different level of competition.
Yeah, I had like really supportive parents. Like my parents got divorced when I was young, but my dad was really supportive. So he would like get me into all the programs and stuff like that, and and helped me with the finances and things. So it was really helpful getting a plane flight to Cleveland and getting into this camp for 7 days or whatever, where you play like basketball 18 hours a day.
Wow, that's what an experience. That's great. See, that's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's different when you don't have that experience. And, those resources at the time.
Yeah.
Those are, again, make it or break it.
Yeah, no, that's tough. So how long into your senior year before you realized like which school you were going to go to?
So interesting. So I had a few offers on the table, but I didn't have the best SAT scores, but I had a decent GPA. So
SATs have nothing to do with football. Damn it.
Right. But at the time, you had to qualify through the NCAA.
Yeah.
So that was an obstacle right away that I knew I was aware of, but I was fine with going to a junior college.
Mm-hmm.
and just when you go to junior college, most times that'll up your GPA,
mm-hmm.
right? Or whatever the case may be, have you take the SATs over or whatever,
mm-hmm.
but it just helps you out with that portion. People go to junior college for different reasons, and academics sometimes may be one of them, especially for something like an SAT. So right away, that was one of the routes that I wanted to go, but my mom, she didn't want me to go that route. She wanted me to go to school. Like, she's like, I don't care about football. I want you to get an education.
Mm-hmm. Like proper 4-year college. Yeah.
She didn't care about doing college football that much. She was like, no, I want you to go to school and get an education.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thankful for that she did that. But on I'd be like, wow, bettering yourself a little more. So that's when I came down. I had a couple schools that were interested, JMU, Southern Connecticut, and a few other schools,
mm-hmm.
high D1s. But again, SAT score. So we ended up, I had an offer from Utica College, which was a small town D3 school
mm-hmm.
in upstate New York. Great school, great academics, and still, again, great football great football, decent program, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and they had my major, what I want to study. At first, I went into college as a freshman doing studying criminal justice undergrad, but then it didn't go as I wanted to. It wasn't exciting enough for me. Then I had to sit back and be like, what do I really love? And that's when I discovered in ninth grade, a few years before, the weight room was just something that I truly loved. I fell in love with it right away as a freshman in high school. And I saw the results. I saw what it did for my body.
Mm-hmm.
I saw my performance on the field, and I just saw what an actual gym and a good weightlifting program can do and the potential. So I knew Utica College had a great physical education kinesiology program, so that's when I I switched my major to the kinesiology physical education major.
Yeah. Well, criminal law and stuff, that does sound boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's way better to just work on your body, especially when you're fucking playing football every day.
But I used to have a dream of being a police officer
Okay.
in New York City.
I'm so glad you didn't do that.
I'm glad I didn't do that either, but shout out to them.
Yeah, it's been a tough couple of years for police officers. One of my good friends, someone I motorcycle with quite often, he's a police officer in South Carolina, and they went through that whole like defund the police thing and like the protests, and he was like, how did it become fucking like, police officers are demonized now, like, because he was a cop for like over 20 years before all that craziness happened, and yeah, he really struggled with that, like mentally and emotionally. So at least you got to skip that bit.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's been a crazy thing going on in America right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been tough across all states.
Yeah. No, it's really
big cities. It's a big city to defend.
Was it nice that you went to college and you were able to stay in New York State, like somewhat close to home?
It was nice, but it was cold too.
Bad, yeah.
It was freezing. Upstate New York, that was my first time. Going up to central New York, it's different. The weather is definitely different. It's colder than New York City for sure.
Yeah, man.
It's close to the mountains, close to Buffalo, close to you, Canada.
Yeah. The southern edge of Lake Ontario. Yeah.
It's a different type of cold. That's for sure. But it was an awesome time, great experience.
Mm-hmm. And like, what was it like? What was it like year one? I mean, did you get to start? Did you get to play? Like, was your coach kind of supportive of you, or did you think you were an asshole? I had difficulties with my college coach a little bit.
Oh man,
I got stories.
I have stories too.
So we get to break them all out.
Yeah. So let's get into it. So I go to Utica College in upstate New York.
Mm-hmm.
One of my other buddies from a rival high school, I knew he's committed there too. So we're just both two kids from Brooklyn, excited to finally get out of New York City and be chasing our dream and getting to play at the next level, no matter what level or division it was. We knew that was the next level, and we were one of the first people to do that. So it just felt good for us both. We were very excited,
mm-hmm.
and we knew we were going to have a ball. So that was the beginning. That was early. So one of the first days, is camp. You get your equipment. You check in. You're doing freshman orientation. The basics. First day, so I get there, and right away I have like not a confrontation, but I don't see eye to eye with one of my coaches on like the first day. I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Here we go.
First day.
I love it. Yeah.
So, it's funny. It's funny how those things play out.
Mm-hmm.
But I came in to Utica College. They recruited me as a outside linebacker, strong safety. But the defense that Utica College was running, I wasn't used to that scheme. So originally, it was tough for me to fit in the scheme because I was naturally playing more of an inside linebacker position rather than safety. So they moved me to safety, and that was just a whole new ball game for me. It was very difficult at first.
Safety is like a really tough position, right? Because if you go right instead of left, someone scores a touchdown.
You are the quarterback of the defense. You control. You run the show.
It's terrifying.
You're just in the back third by yourself, nothing but open space and opportunity.
Mm-hmm. So your first year of university, Utica College, northern upstate New York. Who is your favorite professional player at that stage? Who is the professional player like you were looking up to? Who you kind of maybe saw like you could be like someday?
I was very inspired by a West Virginia legend, Tavon Austin. I used to always watch his highlights tape before games. He's a very electric player. If anyone's watching this interview, Tavon Austin.
Did he play pro?
Yes, Tavon Austin did play pro, but I think at this time he was still in college.
Oh, really? Yeah.
This might have been just maybe beginning, a rookie, and then.
So you were a fan of his when he was still in college?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. That's epic. I mean, I think like when I was a kid, we had so few Canadians in the NBA. It was so hard. Like, you remember Rick Fox? Remember the Laker Rick Fox? So he was Canadian. He played for the Canadian national team, and he played for the Lakers and played with Shaq and Kobe for all those years, all those championship teams. But then Steve Nash was my guy. So Steve Nash, came from British Columbia and then came down to California, played college, and then ended up playing in the professional leagues. And he was my hero by far. Like, he just ran the national team, played with the Phoenix Suns at first, and then went on to Dallas Mavericks and things. And like, he was my absolute hero. Like, we were the same size, and he had a totally different game than me. But he was one of the first guys that really cracked it open for the Canadians.
Absolutely, that's epic. That's so inspiring when you have someone that's coming from where you're coming from and doing it at a high level.
Yeah,
it's like, wow, it gives you that aspiration, that hope that you're like.
It does, doesn't it? Like, and it's funny. Like, if you come from that's why I think it's taken so long for like Europeans to start coming into the NBA, because there were so few of them at the beginning, but now they're dominating. Like, all these great players from Spain and France and Slovenia and Serbia, like they're amazing.
Amazing, they're dominating. And the word on the street is, they say that the NBA is easy
compared to the European leagues.
Like, this is cake.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, it's just good for those guys to come over and come into the States and do their thing.
So how did you overcome the kind of difficulties with your defensive coach in the first year? Like, did you guys like become friends afterwards, or was it just like 4 years of like butting heads?
No, absolutely. This guy was an amazing coach. We just had to come to understanding and realize who each other were, and that's part of growing up.
Not being a dick.
No, not being a kid, excuse me.
Yeah.
Being a kid. But yeah, absolutely. So no, we had a great time. We ended up going back to my high school film, and he's like, "Oh, let me switch your position. Let me try you at inside linebacker." And I'm like, "Coach, yeah, now we're talking." Mm-hmm. So we made the switch this spring after my freshman year, going into sophomore year. We make the switch to inside linebacker, and I end up having a decent season as a sophomore, or in the first 3 games at inside linebacker. And I was starting. I was getting good reps to make it.
So that was the end of being you being safety.
Yes. 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 It was painful at first, but we made it through. You just always got to see the other side.
And like inside linebacker, like, you're hitting people every single play. Like, did you love that? Because for me, like, that kind of physicality would just cripple me.
It was definitely very challenging. Me still being undersized. I was a big dude, but I wasn't the tallest or the heaviest. So for me, it was just about just being very athletic and just being powerful yet strong for my size. But definitely, it was very physical. And sometimes I did enjoy it, but there were moments where, I would do what I have to do to stay out of the collision.
And just I'm a complete idiot, but inside linebacker, so you're kind of like inside the cornerbacks, but you're not part of the defensive line. So sometimes you're rushing the quarterback, but also sometimes you're drifting back and picking up a receiver.
In coverage, yep. So you usually have your 4 down linemen, then you have that second row. Mm-hmm. I'm one of the 2 people in the second row. Right up.
Just smashing people. Just waiting for like little bitches to come over the middle and just bam.
Knock them out.
We swear on this podcast, so you can say whatever you want.
Let's get it.
So what was your 4 years in college like? Like, was highs and lows? Did you get injured at all? Like, was it a good run?
It was a great one. It was a great run. There was definitely highs and lows. There was definitely challenging moments, a lot of adversity, a lot of eye-opening moments, and things that now have molded me into who I am today. Mm. But it was definitely a good time. I've met some of my best friends. I've learned a lot through college and experienced a lot through college. I'm very thankful for college. A lot of people don't get that opportunity. Mm-hmm. So it was a good time.
That's the best, isn't it?
It was the best, but definitely. So let's get into a sophomore year. Started the first 3 games, or I think maybe 3 to 6 games, something like that. Ended up getting injured, fracturing my big toe.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm in a boot, but I'm still
Oh, really?
in a boot. I go to a special pediatric. Orthopedics.
Yeah.
Yes, there we go. Orthopedics.
Mhm.
We get a custom-made fiber plate made. We insert it into my cleat to keep my foot straight.
Mhm.
And because the problem was when I would go into flexion, when I would bend, that's when the toe.
Which is every play because you have to run and you have to get on your toes every minute.
So painful.
Yeah.
I'm in pain. So I'm still battling through the season. We get injured on the same side of the body. Now I tear the MCL, the inner knee. So now I have the turf toe, the fractured foot, right?
Mhm.
Big toe, with the knee, the MCL. So I have 2 injuries on the left side of my body. And I'm still battling through this season. It's my sophomore year, and I want to show my coaches and teammates that, I can contribute to the team, being a sophomore, no matter what age level or year you're in, just being a contributor. So I'm battling the whole season with these injuries.
That's terrible though. Like that's gotta really not having that mobility and being caught up, surrounded by all these big guys just crushing everyone, and you can't move the way you want to move.
It was definitely a challenge. Yep. So that set me back. I ended up not starting the last couple games of the season. Tough sophomore year, but a good sophomore year because I had some highs and lows. Started the season hot in the rotation, making plays. Everything's going good. And then midway through, we get 2 injuries. So that's a setback. But, adversity, it's what molds you.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. So, I mean, so what was it like then? Did you rehab in the off season? Did you get healthy? And then what was it like going into your junior year?
Yep, we rehabbed. We got healthy, came back. Junior year was amazing. Still played inside linebacker. Team, we won a lot of good games. Contributed that year again. Come back, senior year, get hurt. Fractured the back, off season.
Your back? You fractured your back?
Off season, yep. Huge injury.
How did you do that?
Just, multiple various of different things, in the weight room, just overtraining, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Not having a proper rest. This is just being a college kid, just living a crazy life. Still playing football at the same time. But I definitely could have been more mindful during that time, how I was taking care of my body. Different things like that. So that caused me, I want to say, just to get that injury going into my senior year. So I missed my full senior year, didn't play.
Oh, really? That's terrible.
Had a medical Luckily, thank God for that. So I was able to still rehab it during that year. So I rehabbed, went to did a intensive PT during that whole year. Started back up again in the weight room, feeling good. Then once I came back again for the 5th year, now I'm in my 5th year as a senior. After the medical red shirt, they switched my position. So now I go from linebacker to running back. Mind you, earlier in high school, I played running back in high school as well.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily I got that experience from high school playing running back, so I still remember everything.
Uh-huh.
And it's still ingrained in me.
But that's a huge switch, going from inside linebacker to now running back. I mean, it's probably similar on a scale of physicality, but all the plays are coming at you from the wrong angle.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely, especially at that high level, especially at a college.
Mm-hmm.
Especially you being 3 years at playing a defense side of ball, playing linebacker, and then making a dramatic switch like that, going to running back was a huge adjustment.
How long did it take you to get your timing at running back? Because you can't, that's not a position you can just come in and start.
No, definitely. Luckily for me, I was athletic, right? Very athletic. So that helped me tremendously. But again, the playbook, learning a whole new scheme, it was a very, very challenging, very difficult at that time. So that definitely held me back. But I was still able to contribute during that senior year as running back. I didn't start my last season there. It was tough.
Mm-hmm.
That weighed on me very alive.
Mm-hmm. You think if you would have stayed at inside linebacker, you would have started and had a better year?
had an amazing year.
Yeah.
I was feeling very strong and confident that.
But I mean, like, do you let your coaches know, like, hey guys, like, I don't want to fucking play running back?
You know, at first I was down on myself, but I'm a team player, so I'm like, okay, whatever the team needs, I'm gonna do it, right? So if that requires me making the switch to running back, I'm gonna do that. But deep inside, I knew it was gonna be a challenge after me playing and excelling at linebacker for the last 3 seasons. I knew that this was definitely tough, so I never really vocalized that, and that's one of the things I wish I would have vocalized to them and say, guys, hey, I think I should stay on defense and we should just figure this thing out.
Yeah, it's such a catch-22, right? Like, you know, do you suck it up and be a team player, or do you stand up for yourself and be like, this is a mistake? Like, it's so hard to make that call. Like, and if you're not a team player, people will shit on you. But at the end of the day, like, you also know yourself, right? Like, you know your skills and how they'll fit best in this team. Like, but then if you stand up and say something, like, you can be, you know, it can be taken the wrong way, or you can insult the coach or whatever, right? Like things can go horribly wrong. And you're, you know, you're like 21 or 22, right? Like, these are hard decisions for like young athletes to make.
Definitely. And I was one of the leaders on my team too. So I feel like I couldn't technically say anything because I'm the leader on the team. I would look not good if I went against the grain, technically. But me looking back, I definitely should have said something, because at the time too, I had to switch my jersey.
You had to change your number.
I had a single digit. That really hurt me too.
Single digits are the worst. They're the best? You started off with number 33, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I was number 34.
No way. Yep. Which I had a single digit number, playing linebacker, swag, point.
Kid.
Yes.
Did you at least have the same coach for your whole 4 years?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Same head coach.
That's at least helpful, right? I feel like anytime there's a lot of coaching changes, that can be really hard.
Yeah, that could definitely be a huge adversity for players that go through that a lot.
So I have some PTSD from my college years. I had a really tough run. Listen to this one. I didn't fracture my back like you did, but I had a similar experience. So at the end of my second year, we had a huge graduating class, right? So all the big guys, all the big senior guys, like, they all left, right? So summer after my second year, before my third year, I worked out like a beast. Like, I was in the gym every day working. I was in the weight room every day working. I took a job at a summer camp where I could teach basketball, so I could play basketball every day. And then all the counselors and I played hoop every night, you know, when the kids all went home. And I was like, this is my chance, right? Like, all these senior guys are out. And I tell you, that was the best I ever played. My summer after my second year. And then 2 weeks before training camp, I was out drinking, having some fun, as you do in the summer, off season, whatever. Picked up someone else's cup at a bar or whatever, and I got mononucleosis, right? So like your whole body just shuts down. And this was like 2 weeks before training camp. So all that hard work I put in all summer was gone. And I was basically, I wouldn't say I was like bedridden, but I was out of it for like at least 2 months. Because that shit, like, and your spleen swells up, so and it can rupture, so you can't do anything contact sport, and you can't move your body, you can't run, you can't train. It was the worst. And then when I came back, my coach just pretty much wrote me off for the whole year.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That was not cool. But that's similar to how I felt when I fractured my back. That was a terrible time because I was away from my family. So I was just going through this by myself. Yes, I had teammates and roommates, but, you know, that wasn't the same. I had a self battle.
That's hard.
A mental battle too.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's got to be so cold in the winter up north, and like at dark, you know, at like 3:30 in the afternoon, and you're up there and your back's hurting you and you can't play, you can't practice. That's rough.
Couldn't practice. Could barely stand. It was one of the most difficult times in my life.
Yeah. That's great though that you like came out the other side and got the red shirt and has still got a chance to play like a senior, even if it was in the wrong position.
Right. That's why, you know, I'm just very blessed and thankful that I still got to finish the season and still do amazing things. But it definitely was tough. That adversity definitely made me.
Do you miss the guys?
Oh, that's the best part. That's one of the best parts.
Yeah.
Just the team camaraderie aspect of it all, just being united under one common. and just having a team goal and just we all working toward this.
What What was your week like when you were playing college football? 'Cause so in basketball, we had Sundays off, and we would train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, play Friday, play Saturday, Sundays off. Sometimes if we lost, we trained Sundays. Like, what was your schedule like?
Oh, we had an intensive schedule for sure. My schedule would be, we would have Mondays off in season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in season we would have Mondays off.
Yeah, off season you're doing 2 a day, right?
Getting after it. But the off season, in season was cool because we would have Mondays off.
Mm-hmm.
So all we had to do was go to class, go to treatment, go to do our thing. We had the day off. Tuesday we would be right back, full pads. We're going right into it, preparing for the week. We would have film. We would have weights in the morning on Tuesdays, right into class. Then right after, during the day after class, you would have time to go to the library, but you would definitely have some team meetings throughout the day. And then you would have to, again, go to the training room, get taped, get ready for get ready for practice at the end of the day. That was Tuesday. Wednesday, normal, full pads day. Thursday, we would say we put the hay in the barn. We love Thursdays. That was the last day of like pads. And then Friday would be a walkthrough. And then Saturday game day, the best. And then we'd have practice on Sunday nights.
Oh, really?
We would have weights and practice Sunday nights. Yeah, because usually after the game, they know we would go out. I think this is why they would do this.
Mm-hmm.
So we would, run the alcohol out, run those things from last night out.
Yeah.
We have this thing on Sundays called a snake.
Oh, wow. We used if we lost on Saturdays, we always had like optional shoot arounds on Sundays. But if we lost, we would have like everyone had to be in, and of course we went out like crazy on Saturday all the time. And I just remember like guys throwing up in garbage cans like every Sunday morning, and we would do Sunday mornings, and sometimes we'd have to take a bus, like because like we were just one team, right? And there were only like 15 or 16 of us, so we all fit on one bus. And yeah, we would travel around all the other schools and play. And yeah, if we didn't do well, sometimes we wouldn't get home till like 2 or 3 in the morning, and then we'd have like a 10 a.m. and we still wanted to go out. So we would get home, we would lose, and then we would get home at midnight, shower, eat something, and then go out till like 3 or 4 in the morning, drinking, having fun, being silly like all young people should. And then yeah, having to wake up at like 5 or 6, and then wake up and go to and then just brutal mornings of just running.
We had the Sunday practice regardless, win or loss.
Yeah.
Most times, depending on the year and how the season was going, dictated if we went out or not.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we would have to go out just to get the loss off our mind.
Yeah.
Right. But other times.
Yeah. No, you got it. I think there's so much, like, I think going out as a student athlete is so important, because you got to blow off steam. You got to let your mind relax, alcohol or not, it doesn't matter. But like, you got to go out and just be in a different environment, even if it's with the guys, but just like release your mind from all that tension of all week going into that game, win or lose, so that you can kind of wash it out and get ready for the next week.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally 100%.
Yeah. So after your senior year, did you have any aspirations of wanting to play professionally or wanting to play overseas, or like what was your thinking kind of towards the end of your senior year?
After everything had went on and I changed the position, I kind of lost the love a little bit for the game of football, so I didn't really want anything to do with it. I kind of thought about it for a little bit, like, oh, maybe I could play at the next level, but then again, I just had the back injury, and that last senior season of playing running back, it didn't go as I would like fully, so I kind of had lost a little bit of love for the game, so I kind of wanted to step away for a minute.
Mm-hmm. I know exactly how that feels. Yeah. I was so burnt out at the end of my senior year. And my senior year, I had a lot of difficult exchanges with my coach as well. And I wouldn't say like I lost the love of the game, but I was like, I was clearly burnt out from everything. Like 4 years, and for you, 5 years, like 4 years of playing, 1 year just rehab. Like you must have been exhausted.
And mind you, I never had stopped playing from 7.
Yeah.
So this was the whole time.
Yeah, you can't stop.
I never stopped. And it was just like, whoa, this is the first time I get to like take a true break.
Well, yeah, I mean, because if you stop, everyone you're playing with now passes you. Yeah. And then you're working your way back up again. Yeah. Yeah. Same with getting injured, right? It must have been really hard.
Super.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you, when you got your, when you fractured your back and you got your medical red shirt, did someone else come in and take your inner linebacker position? Is that why they pushed you to running back?
Yes.
Yeah. That fucking bastard. I'm sorry.
I love it. So remember how I was that sophomore that was starting on varsity?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm the senior that's getting replaced by that sophomore starting on varsity.
Yeah.
Actually, this kid might have been a freshman.
It's ruthless, isn't it?
Ruthless. Don't.
So I came off my third year, which was my mono year, where I was sick and all fucked up. I trained really hard all summer, got myself into really, really good shape. And then my coach recruited like 4 or 5 freshmen that he was like, this was like going to be his chance to like rebuild the program. Because the year before that, we had like 3 or 4 seniors leave and they were all like all-stars. So then I got mono, and then when I was able to finally come back after being medically injured with that illness, he brought in these 5 freshman players, and he was like, I'm going to play them no matter what because they're the future. And some of them weren't that good, but they took my position, so I ended up coming off the bench in my senior year, and just that constant battle with my coach just exhausted me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was the same mindset I believe my coaches had.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, okay, this kid is the future, so we're going to get him the reps now.
Yeah.
We're not going to worry about this.
And put you into some fucking position you don't even know how to play.
They just knew I was athletic, and I played it in high school.
At least they didn't put me in the post or ask me to play center.
Big me. Big man.
No, I was lucky. I got to play point for 4 years, but yeah, in varying degrees of minutes and time per game, and each season was drastically different. It was crazy. Like, I meant the best I played probably ever was when our starting point guard got hurt, and I got to play like, what were we playing? 40-minute games, 2 20-minute halves. So I was playing like 25, 30, 35 minutes a game. That was like the happiest I've ever been. But that was just so few and far between, because my starting point guard who was on my team, he was also the fucking captain.
Wow. Great
player, great guy. But it's like, you're never going to replace your captain. Like, right. Yeah.
So that's a tough.
I was fucked from the
That's the worst, when you feel like you're not set up for success.
Yeah, it's hard. But I don't get to talk about this stuff with everyone, because like not a lot of other people play like university sports.
Not a lot of people, and I really think more people should.
Yeah.
I really think team sports, I always tell people, my clients, whoever it may be, that have younger children, I'm like, hey, if your child wants to play a sport, put a team sport especially, put them in it.
Yeah.
The lessons, the values that you learn through team sports are priceless.
The thing I loved about it was I got to learn like how to support and then also be positively critical with 14 other personalities. So like, coach yells at me, I can fucking take it, right? But if I'm point and I got to yell at someone else because coach is yelling at me to tell that guy to do something, I can't speak to that guy the way coach just spoke to me, because coach knows I can take it. But if I yell at him that way, he's just going to retract and do nothing for the next game, right? Like I gotta approach him in a way that he's going to respond positively. And having to learn how to do that with all the different players completely changed my life forever.
Absolutely. Yeah. I really agree with that. That's just learning how to be self-aware, first of all. And also you having that awareness. A lot of people don't have that awareness. And you can't treat everyone on the same basis. You have to individualize it. And that's what you did. Mm-hmm. You made it so it's very specific to that person. And you learn how to communicate.
Yeah. Well, if you're talking to someone and it doesn't get in and then process, then you got to change your style of how you talk to that person, right? But most people don't. They just keep
No, you have to be adaptable.
You got to try.
You have to try it. And a lot of people don't try.
No.
And that's a huge problem.
It's terrible.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I hate people that will try.
So you're in upstate New York. It's fucking freezing. You play your last game of university football. You graduate. And then you're like, what the fuck are you up to now? Because that's a huge call, because like your football career is over. You've decided not to play. You were kind of burnt out. You needed some time off. You'd had difficulties. You'd lost some motivation. I went through the exact same thing. I know exactly how you must have felt. Like, what did you feel like should be your next step?
So I studied kinesiology, physical education.
Yeah.
So I already knew that that was the lane I was going in. And I knew I fell in love with the gym in 8th grade, and I continued it now throughout college. Now in college, I'm getting really big and strong, and I'm really seeing what the gym can do. And then I'm going through these injuries and these rehabs, and I'm like, oh man, like I wish I knew this modality or this training method or this adjustment. It could have prevented me from getting this injury. So now I'm starting to get educated about injury prevention, you know, and then really how to train properly. So that's when I knew that training was the way to go. And I was like, I have to figure this out now. So one day, I'm about to graduate. It's maybe, I have a few more months out, but I'm already preparing myself for my next thing. I'm like, okay, I'm moving back home to the city.
Back to Brooklyn?
Back to the city. Yes, back to Brooklyn. What am I going to do? How am I going to take this thing to the next level? So I started researching the best gyms in New York, like in America, the United States in general. I come across dog.
Oh no.
I'm like, wow, this place looks awesome. The people, the whole aesthetic, everything about it look like a team. I'm coming from team sports, a team environment. I'm like, what can be similar to this? What can mimic this within personal training? And how can I be the best interest in it? How can I add value to this place?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I started looking at that. So I come across Dog Pound. I also come across Equinox. I'm like, where do the best people train? Where are the best trainers? And where are the best jobs? I'm like, okay, I'm moving back to New York. Where are the best personal training jobs? How do I be the best personal trainer in New York City? So I started looking up different internships. I applied for an internship at Equinox. I don't know why I didn't apply straight up right away to Dog Pound. I didn't even think about it. I kind of was intimidated by it. I was like, oh man, this is crazy.
And Equinox is like a firm that has these gyms all around the United States. So they're like a national scale. And Dog Pound, from what I understand, is quite specific. They just have like one little boutique in New York and one in LA.
Right.
Yep.
At the time, LA wasn't even open yet.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Right. So they only have New York, and I was just looking at the clientele and just looking at the whole thing, and I was like, that's a great place. I know I want to get there eventually. But where am I going to go first? So I knew I had to do an internship. So I move back home. I apply to Equinox on Wall Street, back in New York City in Manhattan. Get the internship at Equinox. I started working there. I had a part-time job working as a janitor in a yoga studio in Manhattan as well. So I would go to my Equinox. So now I'm interning. I moved back to the city. It's maybe January 2018, 19-ish. I moved back to New York City. I started interning at Equinox. I'm learning a lot. I'm meeting great people. I'm around great trainers. I'm seeing how to personally train. This is my first experience in any kind of training facility environment. Great time. I'm learning some more things. Then the middle of my internship, I'm like, oh, I think this is what I really want to do. I'm taking some personal training classes through the internship. EFTI is one of the programs that they offer to the trainers at Equinox as part of the...
To get like a certificate? Like to get like the certificate to do the personal training?
No, not even, just a education through Equinox. They have their own education system.
Amazing,
right? The best trainers come from Equinox.
Really? I didn't know that.
Just because the education that they give you while you work for them is just free and it's priceless. People pay $1,000 to get this education. So now I have my degree and I'm getting personal training, specific education on just how to be a great personal trainer. And I'm learning about the business of it all. And this is all at Equinox. So I'm still working a part-time job at the yoga studio at night, doing an internship in the morning throughout the day. So midway through the internship, I applied to now be a trainer at Equinox. During the internship, I'm still an intern. And I'm like, hey, I'm talking to managers, I think this is something I want to do. And that during the time, I'm already studying with new trainers. I'm an intern, but they already hired trainers. So I'm studying with them, going to the classes, learning, and I'm collecting the credits to get to the next level, to be an actual trainer. So I'm like, okay, wow, if I'm doing this, I might as well kill two birds at one stone. So then I proceed. I get hired as a trainer at E. Like, okay, this is great. Fresh out of college, done an internship, 3 months, maybe 4 months max. Now I'm hired as a personal trainer at Equinox. So I start learning. That was an experience by itself. This is my first time in the big box gym. You know, at that level, you have to find clients.
Oh, really?
This young 22-year-old kid in this massive gym on Wall Street. I'm like, who wants to train with me? They're like, no one's going to train with this new guy.
That's tough. I didn't know. I thought like if you worked for Equinox, like they would take care of you because like they're a pretty big company. Like they figure like, you know, people come in and, you know, they write to the Equinox or message them on social media and it's like, hey, I want a personal trainer. And then they would just give that information to you and then you would lock in the client and start training with them.
Yes, sometimes you would get those leads, but for the most part, the senior trainers are getting those.
They're getting all the fresh good leads.
Again, here we go. It's just like football again.
Yeah.
You have to earn your spot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a freshman again, but now, again, I'm out of college, but now this is life. So I'm like, okay, what would I do in football? How would I approach it? How would I attack it? I use those same principles early in that situation right away. I'm like, I have to get going. I have to get in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm on the bench.
Was it like was Equinox an environment like where like it was like a team environment, like everyone was kind of helping out everyone else, like a little bit like, you know, your college days, or was it like a little bit more catty or a little bit more kind of like, you know, you got to hunt what, you know, eat what you hunt, and if you can't fucking find your own clients, then get the hell out of here. Like I'm just curious like what the vibe was like, because I've had a few jobs, not in training or anything like that, but I've had some jobs where, you know, the office atmosphere is amazing and people are really supportive and helpful. I was like, oh, this is just like my college days, like part of a team, right? And that's what we all want, you know, deep inside. And then there's other places where people just treat you like shit.
Luckily for me, I had an amazing team there. I had amazing staff, but it definitely was still everyone is fending for themselves at the end of the day. You know, everyone was responsible for themselves. Everyone had their quota to meet individually. And then at the end of the day, yes, as a team, we would have team goals as well. But at the end of the day, everyone had to produce.
Mm-hmm.
So that was definitely an eye-opener too.
So what's like a quota of how many personal training sessions you would need to have done at Equinox per week for them to be happy?
If I could remember, I would say hitting full time might be 40 sessions, maybe.
40 hours of one-on-one training.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that was
Mm-hmm. That's a lot though, because sometimes like you're at the gym and people just aren't coming in. Like there's hours of the day like people just aren't coming in to work out. Like you're down on Wall Street, right? So mornings are probably super busy and then evenings are super busy. But these Wall Street guys are not coming in at like 3 p.m.
Right.
Yeah.
That was definitely a tricky hard part. I was like, how do you want me to do this? And especially me being new,
Mm-hmm.
there was no way I was gonna pull those numbers.
Yeah.
It was tough in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually it started to pick up. But then I just knew, I still had a feeling that this was just the beginning. This wasn't the atmosphere that I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from a college football environment, it's high energy. There's intensity, and this environment was just a little too relaxed for me.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the specific environment that I was looking for. And still there was some team aspect missing for me. So I knew that I still wanted to go to Dog Pound. I still wanted more. I still wanted something else.
It's daunting, isn't it? Like when you leave your university athletic program and your university experience and then have to like figure out how to live in the real world. Isn't that just like such a fucked up thing?
It's a crazy thing.
Yeah.
It's just really a huge eye opener for a lot of people, and it's just like why it shows you like you have to grow up fast, and it doesn't wait.
Did you have any like role models coming out of university that kind of like helped you figure out like the path you wanted to take next, like other people who were doing kinesiology and this kind of stuff, like, you know, or did you have to like find your own path on your own?
So the year that I entered Utica College as a freshman, that was the first year of that program. It was a new program.
Oh, that's great.
A great program. Great. Yeah, it was great. It was a fresh program. So there wasn't too many alumni that had graduated and had connections because the program was new. I was one of the first people to graduate from that program.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trailblazing myself.
That's tough.
Figuring it out. But I had amazing professors
Okay.
that had experience, just not in New York.
Mm-hmm. one of the, like, I just remember being so fucking done with everything when I graduated. Like, I was done with basketball, I was burnt out, I was done with school, I was burnt out. And then it got even further. Like, I was done with Toronto, I was done with Canada. Like, I was like, because I just didn't, like, it was so hard for me to come out of such an intense experience, like playing varsity sports in university, and then finding like a new home. And I was looking around at all these businesses and all these older friends I had that were doing, and nothing that they were doing kind of turned me on at all. And then I just moved to China. Like, when I was like 22, I just picked up and was like, I'm just getting the fuck out of here, because I couldn't figure it out. Like, I just knew right away, like, wherever I was if I stayed, whatever I was gonna do was just gonna make me unhappy.
Well, shout out to you for having that awareness again.
Yeah.
To get out of your own way.
Yeah.
You know, you making that move probably prevented you from going down the wrong direction.
Yeah. I'd be married with 4 kids by now. Like, it'd be tough.
Very tough. You're in a way better situation right now.
You're filled. So when did you leave Equinox? When did that happen? And then when did you make a move over to Dog Pound?
I think I left Equinox around December 2019, pre-pandemic.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Got hired at Dog Pound December, right before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm loving it. It's a brand new gym. It's beautiful. Everything. It's just what I want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm, again, starting over. I'm the new guy. Mm-hmm. New environment, new team, new system.
Mm-hmm. Was Kirk in the gym every day back then?
Kirk was in the gym every day back then.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk was.
So I was training at the Dog Pound in New York in 2017 pretty regularly, and I can't remember who my trainer was at the time. It was before your time, but I remember seeing Kurt in the gym all the time, and you know how I found out about Dog Pound just on Instagram.
Wow.
Just because, like, there were pictures of, like, Hugh Jackman just fucking beefing himself up for, like, Wolverine, like, and there's Kurt standing over him going, like, come on. I'm like, holy shit, this is in New York. Like, I got to check this gym out. This sounds like fun. And it was epic. Yeah.
Epic, right?
Yeah.
You made the right move. Great move. Definitely. Yeah. Kirk was grinding away. His work ethic is like no other. Definitely. He works hard.
Yeah.
I see what he built.
And did you find the community you wanted at Dog Pound?
Absolutely. It was just what I wanted. They were more like-minded people like myself.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the trainers were former athletes like myself. Been in the team atmosphere, know what it is to compete, know what it is to be selfless. Mm-hmm. So that was just what I was looking for.
And what was it like kind of living in New York, getting a chance to work with that, like, elite clientele? Because, I mean, 2019, early 2020, I mean, you've got actors, you've got Victoria's Secret models, you've got like other professional athletes coming in. I mean, that's the great thing about these little niche specialized, like, gyms, like, where you know, they do attract quite a unique group of people.
Yeah, absolutely. It was amazing. And I knew I was in the right place, and I knew this was my path to me still potentially being at the next level, which would be at the professional level. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, I'm at the highest level in my field right now, being in post-grad, and I'm still able to still compete. Mm-hmm. So it was amazing. And I definitely knew I was going to.
And you had an amazing 3 months from Christmas 2019 till March 2020. And then what the hell happened in March 2020?
I had an amazing 3 months. This reminded me of, again, my sophomore year, where I had the great 3 games. The first 3 games, I'm balling out, I'm making plays left and right. Mm-hmm. I'm catching fire, I have momentum. And then boom, the world closes.
Yeah, man.
First 3 months on the job. So that was definitely tough. New York, you know, we closed down due to COVID. New York City closed down. Never seen that happen before, mm-hmm. which is very strange. It was a strange, tough time. So then I stayed home for the next 7-8 months.
Jesus, really? 7-8 months? That New York was closed way longer than LA, right? Yeah.
It was a crazy time. So during that time, you know, people were very scared of a lot of things. Mm-hmm. So we were closed. And at that time, I started doing virtual training.
Mm-hmm. And how did that like work out? Was that like a successful venture?
Definitely was a successful venture. I definitely learned a lot through virtual training. It made me better. It made me better as a coach, as a trainer. You know, being to coach someone and cue someone.
And were these like dog pound clients, or were they clients that you'd found on your own?
No, these were all dog pound clients. Some of the people that I have met in my short time in the facility.
But that's got to be tough. Like you're home for 7-8 months, and like you're trying to get pumped up to train people who are on your phone or on a screen, and they're trying to get pumped up because they're at home looking at you on their screen. Like it's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it was definitely a weird time. It definitely was a challenging time. But again, this is like nothing before that we're not used to, you know, just again, another step, another adversity, another bump, right? So I just knew that this time would pass. It wasn't permanent, right? So I just stayed with it, and it just made it work, honestly. You know, Dog Pound did a great job communicating with us, giving us some resources to make it work, sending us whatever we tripods or mics, whatever we needed to get the job done. So it was some tough times, though, for sure.
That was amazing because I had Kurt on the podcast a couple months ago, and he was talking about COVID, and he said like you know, no one was ready for that. I mean, like no one, like just like 1 week earlier everything's fine, and then the next week it's like the apocalypse is coming, shut your fucking business down, and no one had a plan.
It was a sudden change. We like to say in football.
Yeah,
that was a sudden change. We were good today, bad tomorrow. It was quick, you know. So there was just a lot going on. So there was just too much going on.
And okay, so after 8 months, then you're back in the gym. So how did that feel? That must have been euphoric.
Back in the gym. But now the only thing is we have to wear masks.
Oh fuck that! I remember that. Yeah. How do you train? When we train together, and you know, people should know I train with Zay all the time. Like when we train together, I almost throw up most days. Like you push everyone really hard, and I love it. Like I respond so well to what you bring to the table. But if I had a mask on with training as hard as you push me, I would be throwing up like in minute 3. Like you just can't breathe.
Yeah, you're a beast though. You're a beast. Cool. I love training you. You know why? Because you have that competitive spirit, that competitive mindset. But man, it was so tough wearing a mask and training. I never thought about doing that before. Like me and my buddies, we would wear the oxygen mask, the elevation mask. Actually, excuse me. But other than that, working out with the mask was terrible. I don't know how I survived. I think I might have survived because throughout the whole COVID, I was running like every day.
Outside.
So my stamina, you know, was up at the time, but still, it was very uncomfortable wearing the mask. And had a lot of pushback too from clients.
Yeah, the clients would have been like, "Fuck this." But I mean, like, would you have to wear the mask even if you were like? Because I remember you guys in New York at the Dog Pound, you guys have that street. Renwick Street or something like that, and you guys like push the tire up and down and push the sled. Like if you're doing outdoor stuff, you still had to wear a mask?
You know, it varies depending on the client, who the client was, and how comfortable that person was. It all varied on an individual basis. So it was tough. It was hit or miss.
So it was a fucked up time. Did I tell you I almost got stuck in Ethiopia when all that shit went down? No, I didn't tell you.
How'd you go?
So I was in Dubai, and I was watching all this shit unfold, right? Like, so first it's China, so China closes, and then it's like, okay, now Italy's got a problem, right? And then we're like, shit, and then I was like, what the hell am I going to do? So then I was like, well, okay, this is obviously going to take off, like this whole COVID thing. So I was like, I'm just going to go to Africa, because African people don't give a fuck about this kind of stuff. Like, they are resilient. They are going to wake up. They're going to work. They're going to go about their daily lives, right? So I took my guys and we went to Ethiopia first. And we filmed an episode in the Simeon Mountains in northern Ethiopia. And then I figured after that I'd go to Kenya. And then after that I'd go to Namibia. And I could keep making my show. I would just kind of transplant, you know, episodes in Asia for in Africa. Because the African continent is spectacular. And I love it. And there's so much diversity and so many interesting things there. So I felt like I could do pretty well, like a whole season there. But then Ethiopia like locked down, and then they closed their borders, and then it was really hard to get out of Ethiopia. And then other countries in Africa started closing their borders. So they were letting people work and go to work in the country, but going, you know, traveling from one country to another became impossible. So I was just like, oh my God, I got to get out of Ethiopia. So we actually canceled filming. And then I managed to get into Turkey, which was like one of the last countries to close when everything went down. But I was sitting in an Ethiopian airport for like 8 hours in Addis Ababa, the capital, and I didn't know where I was going to fly. Meanwhile, my guys went home. My camera guys, one guy went back to Canada. Actually, I was only with Chad at that stage. He went back to Canada, but I didn't want to go back to Canada. So then I couldn't go back to Dubai. Listen to this. I was a property owner and a business owner, and I had a green card to live in Dubai, and they closed the borders to me, to green card holders. They were only letting passport holders in. So I ended up having to go to Turkey. So I was in Turkey for like 4 months under lockdown.
And where'd you stay in Turkey?
So I started off, there's a beautiful hotel in Istanbul. It's the St. Regis Hotel. It's right near the Maka Park. So I checked in on like March 19th at like 8 a.m. and I was the only guest in the whole hotel. Yeah, and the morning I arrived, that afternoon, Turkey closed the airport and closed their international borders.
You were the last man to enter.
Pretty much. So I got to the St. Regis Hotel, which is a lovely hotel, and I'm there, and I'm the only guest there. And then after like 3 days, like I'm watching the news every day being like, what the fuck is going on in the world? Like how long is this shit going to last, right? And they kept saying 2 weeks, but no, it was way worse. But then the St. Regis was like, well, sir, we can't kick you out, but we do need to close the hotel and you're our only guest, right? I'm like, okay, no problem. So then I asked them, like, which hotel will stay open through all this shit? Because I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here. And they're like, the Hilton Bosphorus, they never close. So even when Turkey had some civil wars or some domestic, some domestic violence and things like that, the Hilton always stayed open. So then I moved and I moved over to the Hilton. And then again, it was like 2 weeks. So I would book and stay for 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, the world was still closed, and then I would book another 2 weeks. And then I got tired of that too. And then I moved into an Airbnb, and I met a really wonderful man who owned the Airbnb, who gave me a great deal because it was like a fucking global pandemic. And I ended up staying there for, the rest of my time, a couple months, just chilling. And I just was doing like YouTube workouts. I found this personal trainer who was just, it wasn't live, but he would be doing some stuff. And I just, I'd wake up every morning and just try to stay fit and try to just didn't want to fucking go into atrophy, right? Because I had been climbing mountains and doing all this stuff for so long. I didn't want to lose, because I was hoping we could get back into filming right away. But yeah, the months just went on and on. But that was my little COVID story.
Wow, that's a crazy story.
Yeah, man.
That could have went.
Yeah, we'll drink to that later.
That sounds like a good time though. How was your experience there?
So I love Istanbul. Like, it's a city I've been to quite often in the past, and it was a good city to be in during COVID. Like when I was there, I was super fucking frustrated because I should be working and I was sitting on my ass, and that kind of like mentality makes me crazy. But looking back now, it was actually really peaceful and quite relaxing. Like the pharmacies and the grocery stores were open, but everything else was closed. But you could go out and walk around. You could take public transport. You had to wear a mask on public transport, but walking around you didn't. And I just I spent 4 months there, exercising every morning, going out for long walks. I found one of my cats, I found whiskey there. So that was kind of like great. And it was like a relaxing time. But then there was this moment in like July of 2020 where, because Turkey didn't lock down hard, the European Union wouldn't let people travel from Turkey to Europe. So my original idea in March 2020 was to go to Africa, because I thought Africa would stay open and I'd be able to travel internally, and that was wrong. And all I wanted to do was film. So the whole time I was on lockdown in Istanbul, I was setting up for filming in Europe. So because I thought, like, if I can get from Turkey into Europe, I can rent a car, drive around, and make a few episodes. I could go to Switzerland, I could go to Austria, I could get into the mountains and things like that. So I set up all these episodes in Turkey, and then finally I was able to get out of Turkey, which was really hard actually. I got out of Turkey, and the only country that opened to Turkey was Slovenia, and Slovenia was in the EU. So I managed to get into Slovenia, and then from Slovenia I managed to drive to Switzerland. And then the first episode I did was I walked across Switzerland all through the Alps and stuff like that. It was beautiful. But yeah, so then I got into Europe, and then I filmed all that summer. But then the second lockdown came November 2020, and that was really fucked up because then Europe totally closed. And that was when I went back to Dubai.
Wow, shout out to you for staying with it.
Trying.
But that's a crazy story. That's a crazy journey. You were traveling.
Yeah, we were traveling internationally. We were getting fucking COVID pokes up the nose every couple of days. Like, it was exhausting. The protocols of being in all these different countries were different. Filming was really hard. Some countries cared a lot, like Germany. Some countries didn't give a shit, like Switzerland. Like, Switzerland was super wide open. Like, because everyone was just outside. That's the great thing about Swiss people. Like, they just go outside and they bicycle, they run, they hike, they climb, they do everything. So, for summer, being outside was easy. But then as winter came, we started to try to film in Poland and Germany, and things just started to tighten up, and it just became too hard to travel because for me, like, if I can't go from one country to another country, I can't make any TV. So
Right.
it was really tough.
And that's your bread and butter.
That was, hopefully will be again. Yeah.
But that's definitely tough. That's how I kind of felt. But which was going out and doing personal training in person in the gym.
Yeah.
It's tough. Everything was online.
Yeah, man. Those
It
were
was a pivot.
strange fucking days, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Happy we made it to the other side.
Yeah, I'm happy too, but I think I'm worried now that, like, the powers that be think like they can do that to us again. Yeah. Yeah, we need to get our pitchforks and our fucking axes and be ready, because we're not getting locked down ever again. One for the books. Okay. So how the hell did you end up in Los Angeles?
How did I end up in Los Angeles? So now, okay, let's get back into it. I'm back at Dog Pound now, and we're back in the gym. So this year, I'm like, wow, I've been out of the gym for a full year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna put it all in. So I'm going extremely hard. I'm working every day. Content starting to finally start to pick up, gaining some leverage up there on the social media.
Mm-hmm.
I see LA, what they're doing over there. I'm like, that looks fun. The space, the layout is totally something I'm highly interested in. So I'm like, I have to be there. I have to get over there.
But you'd never lived on the West Coast. Like, you were a New York boy through and through.
Throw it through.
Okay.
But once I graduated, I never told you, me and my best friend, we took a trip to Los Angeles.
Oh, here we go.
College. We took a trip to LA, and I fell in love with LA. I was like, wow, it's the summertime, and I have on shorts.
Mm-hmm.
This is unheard of. In New York, we were in full winter jackets and hats and scarves.
Mm-hmm.
So once I experienced that in early December, and I was able to enjoy the weather and still be outside and still do activities during the winter, I was like, wow, this is a place that I need to go to. And especially after being upstate New York, it's freezing.
Yeah, man.
So all I wanted to do was be in.
Yeah. 12 months of summer, baby. So was it easy for you to make the move from New York to LA with Kurt and stuff like that?
No, it was definitely challenging to move. At first, when I applied to transfer from Dog Pound, New York to Dog Pound, LA.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. Everything happens for a reason. But that just, again, took me back to football, took me back to sports, and made me be like, I just got to work harder.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no one's going to give me anything. I have to go and actually earn it and take it. So that was just my mindset. So my transfer gets denied. I go back into grind mode, maybe another few more months to a year, and I apply again.
Mm-hmm.
And this time, I not only apply, I fly out to LA from New York, and I go to Dog Pound, LA, and I let them see me, and I'm there for about 5 days, and I don't leave the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I stay there every day, and I'm working out. I'm meeting people. I already knew some clients that trained at Dog Pound, New York, so I was able to train them now during my short temporary stay here for the first time in LA. I'm training them. I'm getting some exposure. People see me in the gym. They're like, "Oh, who is this kid?"
Yeah,
he's a trainer in New York, and I knew a few people. I knew Christian, and a few other trainers. Matt, a few of the trainers that were already at New York that had moved to LA during the pandemic. I didn't get the opportunity because I wasn't at Dog Pound long enough. So some trainers from Dog Pound, New York, once the pandemic happened, moved out to LA once New York closed. So I knew those guys already because I worked with them now for a year or whatever in New York. So now I forced my way to LA. So now I'm like managers, I'm going up to them saying, hey, I have to be here. This is where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think this place needs me. and I forced my way over. So short story. August 2001. Excuse me, August 2001. August 2021. I move over. I move out.
That's nice, man. You made your own job. Took it. That's epic. That's epic. And you never looked back. And we started training together in summer 2023. So you were pretty fresh, actually. You'd only been there like a year.
I was fresh, but I was hungry, and I was confident that LA was where I wanted to be.
And you have.
Trying.
Showing up is where it's at, isn't it?
It's the hardest part. People really underestimate the fact of just showing up, just getting there, showing up, be present. A lot of people miss out on that. They're like, "Oh, it's not gonna go." That's the matter right there.
Yeah,
you can get a C by just showing up.
You can. Yeah, what did someone say? Like 90% of success is just showing up on time. Yeah. And being fucking ready to work.
I treat this thing just like sports.
Yeah.
So all the years from 7 years old through now is literally all those lessons, all those practices, all the workouts, all the games, all the experiences I've had. Now I translate and I use all those lessons, and I'm now applying it to my everyday life, my career. And it's just a part of me. So I'm very, very thankful for.
It's true, isn't it? Like playing sports and playing team sports especially does prepare you with like a toolkit of how to like get through life. And I always wonder, like, how do people like manage if they haven't played team sports as a kid or gone through college programs like you and I did? Like, it just seems like it's such a development. It's such like a development. How do I want to say this? But it's such like they're just missing that like development like chain on the link, of what you and I went through, for example.
I like that. I love that. And you're absolutely right. I like to call it, some people don't have that switch. Like being able to turn it on, turn it off, step into a room, turn on. Doesn't matter how you're feeling. It doesn't matter. You have a job to do. And that's what team sports teaches you. And that's one of the qualities of team sports. And like some people don't have that. So they don't know when they get into the real world or life or whatever it may be, whatever may be thrown at them, that they still have to perform and do their job and get it done.
Yeah. And how have you found the clientele in LA? Like, this is a showbiz town. It's pretty flashy out here. I mean, are you enjoying it?
It's definitely a different crowd, a different demographic. Yes, I am enjoying it, but it's been, again, a great experience. I've been able to meet great people now on both coasts, and now I'm using the experiences and the lessons that I learned early in my career with my New York clients, and now I'm applying the same thing to my Los Angeles clients and vice versa. So I've just been, again, adding to the toolbox, adding to my skills, and just being able to communicate, talk to people.
And people out there, I know people out there, you think that people in New York are tough. People think people in LA are weak and pretty soft. So what's it like training New York people versus LA people?
Again, it really varies by the individual. Because then, look, I meet you, and you're not the typical mold of a LA person. You're a full-on, you done played sports all your life, so you're very competitive. You're not the average LA person. So when I get to train people like you, I'm always excited.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
Yeah. So that, yes, there is a difference. But
No, I'm okay, but there's definitely like a lot of producers and actors that like to go to the gym but not work too hard always, and it's interesting. Like I feel like people in New York are way more like go, and people in LA are like a little bit more chill.
Yeah, definitely. Because then again, that's a part of the lifestyle. That's a part of the coaches. So that's also been an adjustment. Learning who to push and when to push and how to push has also been a skill that takes time. It's like just knowing who's who, treating everybody on an individual basis.
And figuring out again how to get the best out of each personality, right? Straight back to college.
Yes. See, again, sports. These are the lessons and qualities that sports teaches you.
Absolutely. So what do you have kind of coming up? Like, I follow you on social media. Everyone else after this is going to follow you on social media. You're a beast on social media. You post training your clients. You post these fucking crazy workouts you do on your own, which are insane. What do you have kind of coming up the next couple months that we can all kind of follow along with?
Man, I'm just here just to continue to inspire and just continue to motivate anyone looking to continue their health journey, or just anyone just looking to level up their life and to continue to get better. I'm just here to promote high energy positivity. So you can look forward to that. I have some big things coming up, and I'm excited.
That's good. Anything you can talk about, or is it all hush hush?
We keep it quiet for now.
Okay, if you want to know what's going on in Zay's life, you got to follow him on social media. Let's go. All right, buddy. Well, is there anything else you want to chat about, or should we get that drink we've been talking about all night?
Well, we love it, but I'm just honored to be here, and I'm happy to be here. Finally, we got to do this.
Finally.
So it's been a long time coming.
Absolutely, buddy. And I appreciate you too. So here, we go up here to this camera, slide in a little closer so they can see we're all in the same room. I appreciate you too, buddy. Thank you, man. Come back anytime.
I would love that.
All right. And we're out. Boom.